with no friends and no one to talk to. My whole world, their refuge and salvation at the same time, became my new little room. I finally had my own TV, where I could watch all the cartoons I wanted, and occasionally even watch my favorite shows late into the day. I didn't immediately begin to eat my meals in my room, also because an adaptation period was needed that allowed me to mark a territory previously unknown. The house was too big, access to some rooms was still prevented by the presence of my family. The smell of new stunned me. The smell of new stunned me and prevented me from getting used to our routine. Fortunately, everything began to go smoothly after the first few months. My father tried to prevent me from closing the door in every way, even while I was studying. In the end, however, I checked it. I had conquered the first privacy niche of my life, a screen, albeit as thin as medium-sized door, that would protect me from the nefarious occasional interference of my parents. I used to come home at times that often differed from those of my brothers, which allowed me to have lunch alone at the table. My mother did everything to make me find a hot dish, respecting the few rigid rules that civil society required from a figure of parent. Left to myself, I could slowly move away from negative reality and I passed as sharp as steel blades to better absorb the new blows that fate had in store. In this period, I discovered dance music and international pop music. I managed to save up to buy a stereo, and thanks to a few records stolen from my father's archives, I abstracted myself for hours of reverie under the sign of electronic techno house melodies. Now that I understood much of that music, not not I understood much of that music. I had simply found my special job to help me fly higher than I ever had with the wings of fantasy. Easy with a pair of headphones in your ears. Imagine yourself as the son of someone else, born in another country, perhaps even with another sex. It is easy to no longer say that we are obliged to fulfill a fate that I have not personally chosen, but that have been imposed on me by omnipotent and terrible Lord who demanded loneliness for me at all costs. Although I darkly felt the need to have a person next to me to love, to desire sexually, I tried to repress these thoughts as sinful. Not only was touching oneself a moral crime, but doing it with a natural fantasy worthy of one of the worst sequels of Dante's Hell would have been unforgivable. Thus, mortifying my carnal nature, I tried to symbolically kill my own body with forced abstinence, even food. I tried to confess as much as possible to the nearby sanctuary of Pompeii, so that I could be at peace with my conscience and take communion on Sunday. I didn't know any other guy who like me felt the need to be such a deciduous practitioner. I took pride in it, as in any other big stick habit of my life. Today I can say with certainty that religion has been a kind of cancer in my life. Much of my psychosis and my tormented relationship with sex and flesh have resulted from the deviant celebration of a god. Biased god. Although I felt disgust at the mischievous or sleepy questions of the priests behind the grate of the Pompeian confessional, I tried to fulfill that sacrament. My mother was obliged to accompany me, even though she lived it as one of my many incomprehensible whims. One part of me envied the freedom and serenity of my brothers, free from God, from their mothers, from the tyranny of teachers, from the suffocating role of the first puppy of the class. Another part of passionately embraced my cross, at least they said to themselves to have the exclusive protection of someone who was worth more than all the petty worldly privileges. This I thought, this I said to me. But did he really look at me from above? Would he really reward my perseverance in suffering, in sacrificing myself for the duty of a good Christian? Even if the exclusive God of bigots had existed, he would never have listened to me because deep down I didn't know him. Even then, my heart was dull, unable to feel any kind of affection for real, imaginary, or principled beings. I was so convinced of not having any choice, of always having to fulfill someone's will, that I didn't even ask myself what to do with my future. Did my classmates make plans on the university, on the world of work, or the possibility of a working and emotional life? I listened absently, in silence and marginalized by the group. Raphael needs time to understand what he wants to do. He's so smart that whatever he chooses, he'll take you to the end very well, the teacher said. When it came time to take some post-school orientation courses, and in a billion time I remained silent, reflecting on the way in which my life as a priest would unfold. By now I no longer thought of becoming a missionary. Too trying and risky for me who saw no other possibility of serving the Lord than a purely contemplative one. Becoming a monk, perhaps? I wouldn't have known how, since I had never met a friar in my life. In short, in one way or another, I should have talked to some priests, or perhaps to one from my country, to clarify my vocation and be accompanied to the beginning of my longed-for life path. It's a hard cross, but someone will have to carry it, I said to myself. Meanwhile, during the last year of high school, the almost complete detachment that existed between this very important level of secondary education and the subsequent world and university of work was slowly coming to light. Many of us were suddenly thrown out of compulsory school, even in a modest anonymous provincial town, to arrive at a completely different world, and in those years in a grip of the most profound institutional energy. University was a big stranger to me. I didn't even ask myself the problem of how to access it, and to tell the truth, my professors never pushed me to make a decision. My relationship with them was never more than formal or based on a simple question and answer for the desk to chair. I was alone, sure. I shelters realized around me that no one would ever have the strength or the desire to crack. Maybe I didn't want to. When you're choke inside and no one cares, it becomes easy to blame the victim for so much indifference. He wanted it, and in the meantime a simple outstretched hand that could have made the difference between life and death is withdrawn. Thank you for listening to me. See you in the next video.